Catherine Norris Trent is in Kharkiv, and she joins us now. Catherine, what's the latest on the attacks, and are people there afraid that the combat will intensify in the east?
People here in Kharkiv are bracing for further attacks. The bombings continue day and night. We've had intense artillery fire landing on the city so far this Monday. And as you can see behind me, preparations are continuing for the combat, which people think will continue for some time here. Behind me, you've got workers positioning sandbags around statues. This one of the famous Ukrainian poet and writer Taras Shevchenko. And these scenes are all over the city. So people have been hunkering down here for weeks, coming out on the streets to get food and to do whatever they can. But there's still a sense of foreboding here that with the withdrawal of Russian troops from the Kiev region and further west, that they could be repositioning in the east. And here in Kharkiv, a large Russian-speaking city in the northeast of Ukraine, just around 40 kilometers from the Russian border, people by no means believe that the war is over here. In fact, they're worried that it could intensify. Several residents have been telling me they fear their city could become another Mariupol. They've, of course, been following the destruction of that city very closely. And we're here near to the Donbass region as well. And some of the most intense fighting in the Kharkiv region has been on the road from this city through the town of Izum and down towards the Donbass. So perhaps fears that that battle could be stepping up soon, and that the Russian army could once again renew their offensive to try and take this city.
Well, Catherine, you've been to zones taken by the Ukrainian army near Kharkiv. Can you tell us what you saw there?
That's right. We've spent a few days travelling around zones which have been retaken by the Ukrainian army to the southeast of the city. First to Mala Rohan, where we saw burnt out Russian tanks, and locals telling us of a fierce 3-day battle there between Russian and Ukrainian forces in that village before the Ukrainians managed to push the Russian forces back. And we've been further on to the town of Shiuiv, which is again a bit further along that road southeast out of Kharkiv. And there the mayor told us that the Russians had tried several times to try and occupy that city, but there'd again been fierce fighting, destroying towns. I mean, we saw the impact of huge craters where bombs clearly weighing several hundred kilos had fallen in residential areas there. So a lot of destruction, but there are also injured people in the hospitals telling us about ambushes on the roads there. For a while, Shiuiv was cut off from the outside world, and it's just managed to get the connection back to the road to Kharkiv. And we also saw there people, hundreds of people in one basement still sheltering because the bombs are still falling on that area. In one bomb shelter we went to, 400 people were there sheltering, and many of them had been there since the very first day of the war, the 24th of February, and are still too afraid to go out. And they tell us they desperately need more food supplies, more supplies of medicines. Getting humanitarian aid to these rural areas outside of Kharkiv has been a huge problem. The governor of the Kharkiv region says that the Russians aren't allowing them to set up humanitarian corridors, and so they've been having to run the risks with local authorities and local volunteers taking huge risks and facing great dangers to get whatever supplies they can in.
Well, quite a desperate situation there. France 24's Catherine Norris Trent in Kharkiv.